Through a series of images, I'm going to explain the contradictions of what is known as America and Europe in crises. I'm going to speak from my own words, and I'm also going to use definitions taken from the internet and various sites. Hopefully, in conclusion, you and I will come to a universal definition of what is occurring. The reason why I hesitate in my language is because there are many people who believe that their reality is different from the other's reality, that their child is different from the other child who's suffering, that their mother is different from their other mother, that their father is different from the other father, grandfather, brother, sister, niece, nephew, etc. When in fact, the only difference is they might have odd looking hips, weird looking lips, uh, a face that is only to be described by their DNA, and sexual behavior which is deviant because they are born with defective DNA. So, good evening to you, and here we go. According to the first source, it says here, various theories of crime examine how sudden and persisting restraint on population movements caused by, for example, natural disasters, blackouts, or epidemics affect crime levels. Theories of individual and structural strain suggest that such restraints increase levels of stress and negative emotions such as anxiety, frustration, and anger, thereby leading to an increase in criminal motivations. In this vein, social isolation and reduced freedom of movement associated with COVID-19 containment policies are anticipated to heighten levels of strain and reduce access to support, with implications for child maltreatment, domestic violence, and substance use. Opportunity theory and routine activity theory, in contrast, suggest that stay at home policies interrupted the daily movements in time and space of suitable targets, capable guardians, and motivated offenders, on which most crime, especially crime in public spaces, feeds. They hence predict that crime levels fall as the mobility of entire urban populations is restricted. And to surmise that more succinctly, so someone is angry, they don't have enough money to pay for the train, they jump the turnstile. If someone wants to play guitar, if you fall asleep, they steal your guitar, run away with it. Say it's theirs. If they need a shirt, beware, they might steal it from the store, steal it from your bag, etc. And these are being associated with COVID-19. Okay? I will read one more paragraph to be good. While some early studies suggested that violent and nonviolent crime dropped as regulations were imposed, there is also evidence that effects of COVID-19 on crime are not universal across countries nor across different categories of crime. Rather, opportunity structures are specific to different types of crime, and a change in opportunities for theft may not correlate with a change in opportunities for assault. For example, Opportunities for certain property crimes, such as theft and robbery, depend on the daily flow of people into commercial areas and nearby transportation nodes, like in San Bernardino, California, which happened with Richard Flores at Econo Lodge and Motel 6. Nearby transportation nodes that offer a high volume of suitable targets and access exit paths for motivated offenders. They would come in with their cars, commit crime, and drive away. And the bus would come in with the people who were committing crime and criminals there and leave them off there, so they would commit crime too. This is after they got off the bus and after they got in their cars and put gas in their cars to commit crime. And may hence have declined particularly strongly as a result of the lockdown measures. Similarly, as most people stayed at home throughout the day, fewer houses were left unsupervised, and residential burglary may have become much more difficult, while commercial buildings likely become less supervised and hence an easier target. That is not necessarily true. Just ask yourself, how many times have you seen the security camera commercials on television being advertised? And they show the burglars and they show the type of crime that is meant to be protected by the security devices nowadays. Ask yourself every time you see the commercial. Also, while the shutdown of nighttime leisure activities and alcohol consumption in urban centers greatly reduced the potential for violent conflict among young men in public spaces, the potential for domestic violence increased as victims found it harder to find help and support. Okay. The first one, the shutdown of nighttime leisure activities and alcohol consumption in urban centers greatly reduced the potential for violent conflict among young men in public. This is to say that the young men, as a result, become violent. This is a lot of nonsense. Okay, because they have, if they were normal males, they would have many other ways to use their energies. That would be for working, studying, having hobbies, being with their family, and being with their friends. And at no time would they engage in any kind of violence whatsoever. The secondly one here is domestic violence. This only continues to happen if the police are not called in. This is if someone is being victimized, raped, abused, harassed, bullied, and nothing is done about it, then often the person will wind up feeling as if they cannot do anything about it, and as a result, they will continue to be a victim of this type of domestic violence crime. Should the person do something about it, it will no longer be called domestic crime. So that is a fallacy. And finally, police services have also been required to adjust the priorities and redistribute resources to carry out quarantine checks, enforce social distancing, and enact border control when it comes to Mexico. So, these two paragraphs surmise the effects of COVID-19, some of the effects of the violence that is going on, and the theft that's going on, and domestic violence that's going on, which is a lot of mumbo jumbo. Okay, because the human mind does not react to external reality in this way, as I will prove through various examples. Now I'm going to use examples of the insect world, the birds, and even bacteria to explain the difference between human beings, phenomena, creatures, animals, etc., to show the absurdity of what is actually dominating the humankind. First would be the spider and the fly. Think about it. Fly can fly through the air. Fly can see very well. They have a whole system of behavior. So when you see the fly simply flying through the air, do you think it's just a fly? But in fact, a fly is a very intelligent insect. It knows a lot. And Darwin would even say that we evolved from the fly. Now, despite this fact, then there's the spider, which spider has all of the characteristics of the spider versus fly, fly versus spider. Fly can fly like Icarus, and man wanted to fly like the fly, like Icarus. And spider can fly using electricity, can make a web, and catch a fly, call several flies or the insects to eat. The similarities between the two have to be studied in order to be defined here, which I cannot do. But people must pay heed to the difference between the spider and the fly, and the fly to the spider. This is what I'm trying to explain. When the fly gets caught in the spider's web, you will see the fly struggling to get free. And you will see the spider thinking, yeah, I've got you. I find you in the web, and now I have to kill you, and I'm going to eat you, because this is how I eat. And so, unfortunately, when the fly gets caught in the spider's web, the spider has to do what a spider has to do. Spider cannot go to the supermarket. I mean, he can, he can get in there, but then if too many of him get in there, they will kill him with pesticides. So he knows that it's a dangerous place. So he uses his web instead and catches the fly this way. So I will leave the allegory of the spider and the fly at that. Next, I'm going to give the example of the bird who eats the worm. The beautiful bird also can fly, build a nest, lay eggs. Any of this before he's eaten by another predator, which can be another bird or a different type of predator or man. But as far as eating is concerned, here it says, song thrushes, robins, and blackbirds feed on the ground. And for them, there simply isn't anything as delicious as a worm. All have strong bills that enable them to pull struggling earthworms from the soil, and large eyes that help them see in the early morning light when earthworms are more active near the surface. So this is the early bird gets the worm comes from. The second definition here is, why do birds eat worms? The simple answer is, birds crave protein. But birds eat worms for a variety of other reasons as well. And worms are readily available in nature for birds to feed on, and worms are quite easy to catch. Birds apparently also enjoy other foods found in nature, such as fruit and seeds. The next is deer. Why do deer fight? Deers fight to gain or retain dominance, and both sexes fight. Although mainly associated with aggressive bucks that are pumped up with burgeoning levels of testosterone, fighting is not restricted to bucks. Female roe deer also engage in battles with others of their own kind too, albeit less frequently than the bucks. But the different sexes tussle for different